Hey everyone! Today we're going to talk about the short story Andy and Igor. Andy and Igor is not in any anthologies. It was a story I wrote and posted on my website purely for fun because I wanted something else in the After the Cure world that was short, so not a novel. Which actually I think in this case was a mistake. If I had it to do again, I'd probably write an entire novel about Andy and Igor. Mostly because of for those that read it, the section of the story where the father has to make a choice about, whether to give up Andy or not. I don't think I did well on that because it was a short story, because I didn't have the time and space in the story to really explore that. Anyhow, when I started out, I wanted to talk about or explore what it would be like to try and survive a zombie apocalypse as a very vulnerable person, in this case, a child. I think I had written this after Crisis, so I wanted to... It was either after Crisis or after the Cure, after that scene with the 16-year-old, where Nella sees a 16-year-old and notes that it had to be hard because she would have been 8. So I just wanted to explore that. So Andy and Igor, in case you haven't read it, because it was just on my site, is a story about two little boys, brothers, who the mother dies and during the pandemic, and the father is sick. So the older brother, Andy, who's about 8, I think, when the story starts, takes his younger brother away because they run out of food and lets the father go. The father's been trapped in a garage, and he releases him. So at the beginning of the story, they are living out of a camp, basically like a hunting camp that someone abandoned, and they subsist on stuff they find at a local mall. But when they are going on a supply run, they see that there's now adults at this mall. And they've had run-ins with adults before, some of them positive, some of them not. The positive ones always ended badly. So Andy is hesitant to join up with any adults. So they decide they're going to leave where they're at to find a safer place. So that's the story. That's where the story starts. In the story, if you've read it, you know that there is a ball pit. The reason for the ball pit is actually a phobia of my own. Speaking of phobias from Bella, I have actually a phobia of lakes and mines, not because of anything dangerous in the lake or mine, or ball pit in this case, but because when I was very little, like 7, I think, my family took a vacation to Prince Edward Island, and we went to this mine that had an accident like 30 years before we got there and had shut down. And we took this tour, and the tour guide said that they had never found all the bodies, which is heartbreaking. Believe me, I understand as an adult. But as a child, I thought that on the tour we were going to find bodies. Like, we were just going to stumble across them on this well-run tour. And my biggest fear was that I was going to step on one. And that persisted, like, through my adulthood. So I had a friend who used to take me to this lake, and she knew about this phobia of mine about stepping on a dead body. And the lake had a lot of sediment in it. Actually, it was a pond. It's called Salmon Pond. Unfortunately, no longer able to swim in it. But it had a lot of sediment in it, so you couldn't see the bottom. So she would tease me and pretend to step on bodies in that lake. So ever since then, it's kind of been a thing. I don't like dark lakes. I don't like ball pits for the same reason. I don't know why in my head a body would be at the bottom of a ball pit. That's even darker than being at the bottom of a lake. But that is why Andy encounters an infected, not a body, but an infected in the ball pit. That's why he steps on an infected hand in the ball pit. I also thought it would be a good way to trap somebody fairly uncoordinated is to throw them in a ball pit, and the infected, as you know, are stumbling and uncoordinated because of the disease, so they would have a hard time getting out of the ball pit without alerting someone. So it would be a good trap or early warning system for the raiders that are there. The other things I want to talk about, the reason for the mall, people of my age will remember that there used to be a toy store called KB Toys in most malls in America, and it was like the best. So I wanted Andy to find it and be very excited about it, and that is why they chose to settle down around the mall, was because of KB Toys and the other stuff they could get, obviously. And the other part is the floating Christmas, how Andy always, whenever Igor gets upset, whenever his younger brother gets upset, he promises him that, next week will be Christmas, because he is too young to know that Christmas has, or was too young to know that Christmas had a permanent date before the pandemic. He just knows it's a fun time when Santa comes. And he would have had to figure out, that he had to be Santa for Igor. But that was also something for me, because of long-term poverty. I've always thought that I would prefer a floating holiday instead of deadlines for all of our gift-giving holidays. Just have a floating Christmas for any time we actually had some kind of disposable income. So that is why that's in there. There's a lot of other stuff. There's a lot of really cool little things in Andy and Igor. Luckily, part of the new project is you will once again have access to this short story. It will be somewhat changed from what it was, but you will be getting part of that in the next bit. So, more to come. Next time we'll be talking about Christine. Okay, I'll talk to you later.